Hey, what's up, friend? You are you interested in lack of skill? Yeah. Or maybe some suck. I'm just a new guy for the love of game. We gon' go, I know it's bad. Times have changed, but not my mad. Don't you know that games are my thing? Yeah, I know it's getting real late. Come on, look at me. I even do storytelling. Also a podcast on great game subjects. Okay, yeah, I'm not a Markiplier or a PewDiePie. But hey, that's what makes me so unique, right? 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 Hello and welcome everybody to another great collab with me and Saintwolvinn. We're gonna get her on the line here in a second. And this video is going to be all about Mass Effect 3's ending versus Mass Effect Andromeda. Which one was worse? This idea hit me today. I think today or late last night. It hit me like a freight train so hard that I just had to do it with Saintwolvinn once again. We did a collab first time around. We talked all about Mass Effect. It was the latest Nico Show episode. It was a ton of fun. So let's get her on the line here, and without further ado, we're going to say hello now. Hello, Saint.
Jesus, now I can hear you. Give me a sec.
You're okay. I can hear myself too. This is great.
Yeah, I turned off my thing because I was trying to listen to you. I was like, shit, where are we?
All right, so welcome back to the channel of NikoTheLegend. How are you?
Doing pretty well. Enjoying a beer happily.
Yeah, what kind of beer is that? What kind of cerveza are we talking about here? No product placement.
It's called Poker. It's not the cheapest. It's one of the cheap.
It's a bit bougie.
But it's good.
Oh, okay.
But it's good.
It's not top shelf.
No, definitely not. But it's good enough.
Sweet. All right. So, are you excited and ready to talk about two very controversial things in the Mass Effect universe?
Very, 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 very.
Okay. Because just a reminder for everybody, as the title suggests, or states, not suggests, it's going to be all about Mass Effect 3's ending versus Mass Effect Andromeda. Which one was worse for you? And yeah, feel free to share any of your experiences with these two instances or games, however way you wanted to see it. And I think it's a fair assessment because both were very polarizing, to say the least, and that's just me being really nice on saying that. Of course, we'll talk about our personal experiences with these two instances with the Mass Effect 3's ending, or I'm sure we'll just talk about Mass Effect trilogy quite a bit, and then we'll get to Mass Effect Andromeda and see how it went for both of us, and then we'll kind of just do the normal discussion routine, and then we'll kind of see what everybody else is saying. And then there's going to be some comments I'm going to be reading because that one of the latest Mass Effect videos that I did that talks about why I'm excited and terrified for the Legendary Edition. A lot of you guys with the comments really were defending Mass Effect 3, and I try to play devil's advocate with this stuff, but we're going to be reading some stuff off of that just to kind of bounce off of it, and it's going to be fun. All right, are you ready to have some fun? Are you ready to see what how the world's going to burn from this discussion? It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, then I just lose all of my 200 followers, just they just vanish out of thin air.
I knew it.
Oh god.
I knew it. She wouldn't give in to her
how
hate.
Dare you? Oh, how dare you not like the Mass Effect 3 ending because it was half-assed. Oh, how dare you? Yeah. I'm waiting for that.
Well, I think, just real quick, I think the most interesting thing is that especially when I talk about the Mass Effect 3 ending, I try to play devil's advocate with a lot of this stuff, and seeing these comments defending the Mass Effect 3 ending, a lot of people see it from just that side, and I don't from the context I get, I don't think they see it from the other side of why people were so upset. So I'm pretty excited to talk about that and kind of give people the clarity that I'm just gonna say it that they need. So we need that clarity, and yeah, with Mass Effect Andromeda, there's gonna be hopefully no transparency issues.
Yeah, that's true.
So I should have a beer for this. I'm kind of man. Now I just realized I should have a beer and drink with you when it comes to something like this because this is a big deal. Okay, let's start with our personal experiences with the Mass Effect 3's ending, and then with Mass Effect Andromeda. Now, usually I'm the lady that goes first, but since you're the guest, it's only nice that the host lets the guest go first.
Lovely. But like experience with what? Like with Andromeda or like the end of 3?
So, let's start with Mass Effect 3 and
Christ.
and how you felt. Sorry about that noise. Don't worry, I don't have any animals I just throw around in my place.
Like throwing around cats and
yeah. So just kind of start with talking about what your experience was with Mass Effect 3's ending, and then go to Mass Effect Andromeda's experience, and then boom.
Oof.
Round one.
Man, it's hard because like I think there was so many like feelings, dude. It's the only thing like I don't even cry for movies, like unless a dog dies. You always cry when a dog dies, but like other than that, like I don't cry for movies, or I'm not like that kind of person that tends to be too emotional. But like when that game ended, I cried so much. I cried like a little child, and the problem is that on top of the fact that it made me cry, it made me feel kind of like unsatisfied because I was like, okay, I got the ending where Shepard was like, and that's it. And I was like, dude, you made me go through 100% of galactic readiness. Okay, you made me play your multiplayer. You made me play a bunch of stuff. I played the entire trilogy for you to just give me a breathing scene. Come on. I mean, at least like being like reuniting with the love interest, something like that. I think it could have been a little bit more, I don't know, more gratifying, and to an extent. Like the other endings, yeah, like I get why they're kind of similar and why you'd be like, yeah, it's not that great. But like in general, I think that's the ending that people have most problems with, like with the destroy ending, because that's what you were pursuing the rest, the entire trilogy. You were just pursuing to destroy the Reapers, and when you did, you got the most half-assed ending like possible. Like you die, like it's not a satisfying ending, like to just go through 3 games for you to just not get your happy ending, that on top of the fact you spent hours for it. Well, you just don't get it. You just get like you're either like a cripple or something like that, or you're dead, which is kind of, I don't know, man. I think they could have definitely extended like the destroy ending a lot more. And I think that would fix the game more than editing the other endings. The other endings, like I wouldn't choose them, but when you think about it, it's not that bad, right?
Yeah.
Like either way, you're deciding that you want to die in a way.
So,
but
and we're talking about with the extended cut. Well, did you play the extended cut first, or were you like me when you got Mass Effect 3 day one, and then you got to experience the original ending?
I didn't experience the original ending, to be really frank. I got my issue, like I think that's even sad. Like my issues with the extended cut already installed on my console, that I was like, dude, this ending still sucks. Like what's extended about it? And I don't know how the original ending was. Probably you could tell me more about that because I have no idea.
Oh boy, yeah, that's where the pitchforks and torches were set ablaze. Okay, so it sounds like you want like an extended cut, but I think, I think the whole Shepard breathing thing definitely like blue balls a lot of people, for sure, and I think it just set more fuel for the fire. Like okay, I guess I'll just go with my personal experience. So when I first played Mass Effect 3, like I said, I got it day one. I've gotten every single Mass Effect day one. Even Andromeda. So when I got to the end of when I got to the end of Mass Effect 3, and did the ending and was experiencing everything, because when you're going through that game through the motions at the end, where it becomes the most controversial. It's as soon as you get sucked up and you get into the like the Citadel and stuff, and you talk to the Star Child and all that, you kind of don't know what's going on. There's a lot of like what the fuck moments. It's like, whoa, who's this kid? Like, what's this all about? And it's like talking to me about all these things that weren't really clarified in the original ending. And then you have your choices, and I think the initial thing was that really ticked a lot of people off is that they narrowed down everything that you did into just three choices, and um, and Bioware usually, if we're comparing it to like Dragon Age One, its ending was really good because there were so many different ways to end it. There's multiple ways to execute it. Somebody rules Ferelden, right? Some ruler that you decide. You can decide if you want to spare Loghain, or see if you make the sacrifice to fight the Archdemon. So there was plenty of cool things like that. I know that's the first game in the series, but Mass Effect 3's ending, um, you know, I think we mentioned this before, Saint, that each Dragon Age game you can take that as its own entity because they're all so vastly different in how they're played, and like it's a different main character. So, um, so if we compare the Mass Effect 3 ending to Dragon Age 1's ending, it's just like night and day difference. Because people are like, this is a sci-fi game that takes place in the entirety of the galaxy and stuff, and it's supposed to be this grand scale of a game, and all this stuff's happening, and then you just summarize it into three options, and you're like, what? It's very yeah, you feel kind of like dumbfounded.
Ripped off.
Yeah, ripped off, dumbfounded. So, get back to how my experience was. I did the destroy ending because, like you said, it's what we've been trying to do the entirety of the game. This was the whole fucking point why I got here. And then you do the destroy ending, and then a few cutscenes play, and you're just sitting there, just being like, okay, I guess I understand what's going on, but they're just not it's like some 5-year-old put in all those editing like cutscenes together at the end, and they just didn't connect at all.
It's an Instagram filter.
Yeah. And I wasn't even mad or happy. I just didn't understand. I think I was just so numb to it that I couldn't even like freak out properly or nothing. But for those who did freak out or got super upset about it, I can only imagine. And then once the extended cut came out, I got to play it again. I did the ending with the extended cut, and it helped ease the pain for definitely not everybody who was upset by the original ending, but it did provide some gratification because it just added more context, but it didn't really. You're still limited to those three. Well, it's 4 decisions now because you can just shoot the Star Child with extended cut, but that just gets you the worst ending possible. But you're still so it's so linear on what you did. Maybe if the extended cut came out flat out when the game released, I probably would have had a much better time with it. But since you got to play the extended cut first, did you know about people complaining about the ending when you were playing extended cut?
No, I actually had no idea. Like my problem like with Mass Effect is based solely upon the extended cut because like again, like yeah, it isn't the worst ending in the world. Like it has its good parts, right? But it's an extended cut that's so not extended, as in like what's extended, like they extended in the part where you don't really need it to be extended. Like I would have been fine with what we talked about the other day, that was with, for example, my romance was Liara. Like why wouldn't my shepherd be able to like see their Liara if they're alive? Like why does it have to like be left up to chance, or leave it really ambiguous?
Yeah.
Ambiguous, I don't know how to speak. Ambiguous, yeah. I don't get why I would have to be that way, because at the end of the day, it was the last entry of the trilogy. Like there's no need to leave it like up in the air. You could just finish things and that's it. So I never played the original, and I had no idea like why people were so upset, because I played
Yeah.
I was like crap, I was like 12 when I played that game. 12 or 13 or 14, something like around those lines.
Yeah.
And I didn't know like it was a whole big deal, whatever, until I got older and I was like, oh crap, well, it's not me. I'm not the only one that kind of hated this ending. There's a bunch of people that hated it too. Okay, I'm not the
Yeah.
weird one out. So yeah. Oh God. I don't know. I would say it would be something along the lines of what you said. Like, yeah, an extended cut. Like maybe don't change the endings. Okay? They could be fine on their own, but like make them actually extend them, actually give them some kind of meaning so that you don't feel that you wasted your time playing this.
Yeah. And I don't know if this was like a budget thing or something that they did real quick. With the extended cut, it does show you your different party members and what they're doing, but it's not like the game itself. It's just artwork that's like posted on a screen, and I don't know. It's because they were just like in a hurry to just release that stuff because they did all the other cutscenes of like people showing your crew mourning for you if you did a destroy ending and stuff, which I like that. I thought that was great. Um, and then showing like the relays being constructed again, just showing a bit more, which I thought was cool. Um, and I would say that oh god, what was the point I was gonna make? Crap, it's all gone. I haven't had a beer yet. um, oh man, I lost my train of thought. Okay, I I'll just go to a different thought and maybe it'll come back to me. So it was crazy when because I was really into the internet around that time, of course, so I was able to see what everybody was talking about and just like Casey Hudson and his team just talking about the ending. Like they seemed like they just didn't have a clue on why people were so upset. Like they didn't expect that. But I'm like, I don't know how you don't expect that. You're the director. Did like someone just sneak one or take one over your head or something, or sneak on by with it? As a game director, there's no humanly possible way that you'd be satisfied with something like that. So like the internet was just completely on fire because that's just how much Mass Effect meant to people and to just gamers themselves who played it. And that shit just doesn't happen out of the blue. Okay, I think this isn't like the time of Twitter where people just bitch about everything. This is like early Twitter and stuff where people are just kind of bitching about everything. It was an incubated state, but this was like solid concerns that people had so bad that they had to literally go back and kind of fit in this extra stuff because there was just that many people so mad. I can't even imagine all the death threats they got, which you should never do because that's just fucked up. But people get a little crazy, like with the Cyberpunk delay.
Oh my god, yeah.
So,
Yep.
um, so with the oh, now I remember what I was talking about before. So with those with those images that pop up at the end of the extended cut, um, it's kind of like a slideshow, and I'm like, okay, that's kind of cool, but I still wanted that to be animated. I didn't want it to just be concept art. I want to legit like see people having conversations with each other about how they feel about Shepard. Like some really cool posts, like epilogue, like an epilogue. Fuck, it didn't even need an
Yeah.
extended cut. It just needed an epilogue. Because holy balls.
Yeah, like it's a PowerPoint presentation.
Yeah.
Like it's literally a PowerPoint presentation.
So
And
yeah, if you had the cutscenes that they added with the extended cut, followed by like some really cool epilogue, like they did with Red Dead Redemption 2, and it's just you and your crew just having conversations with each other on things that you did and how everybody's doing and feeling, that would have been fine. Like that would have been perfect. Like
yeah.
I would have been okay with that. Maybe, gosh, this Legendary Edition has its work cut out for it. But
Yeah.
it would have been just so cool. For example, it's like, hey, you were saying your romance option, right? So you got your best bro, which is always Garrus. I mean, if it's not Garrus, okay, maybe Rex.
You're doing
or
it
something.
wrong.
Yeah, you're doing it wrong. Your best bro, Garrus, and then your romance. Let's just say Liara. Like, if they don't have to go so up and beyond, with everybody talking to each other and stuff. Maybe it's just your people that you were the closest with, which would be Garrus and Liara, talking to each other. You're just talking about the good old days or the good times that you had, and kind of it also goes through like the journey and the decisions you made. Like, hey, I remember when Shepard punched that news lady in the face. That was funny. Ha ha ha. Let's have a drink to that. Like it's like Vikings celebrating the death of a hero, right? And they're sharing all these stories. That would have been fucking cool. Um, so that would have been pretty neat. But originally, so your experience with the ending was not so good, even when you played the extended cut first. Mine was, I didn't understand it at first, and then the extended cut, I'm like, okay, I feel a little better. There's at least some emotion involved, and they actually did some work to make each ending decision different. Like like I said, it's really weird to hear Shepard with like a Reaper filter over his voice if you do the synchronize. Like that shit's just really strange. But it just needed to add a little bit more to that. Like I said, like a nice little epilogue.
Yeah. Oh, and there's a part of the extended cut, other than obviously the PowerPoint presentation. The part that I didn't like that much was the fact it was Admiral Hackett. Like he was the one that was like saying the whole story and all that.
Oh,
No one
right.
cares about Admiral Hackett. Okay, like
No, he's an asshole.
No one cares about him, dude. Like he randomly appeared like kind of like cameos in the first two games, basically.
Yeah.
And in the third game, now he's like super central, and now we're supposed to give a crap about what he thinks.
Yeah.
Like, I think it would have been nicer, like even like there's little details, like
Yeah.
examples. That would be a little detail that would have been nicer if maybe Garrus said it, right? Or Rex said it.
Or Liara.
Or Liara.
Like your
or Ashley. Yeah, whatever. Like, I think that would have been a lot better. Kind of like more personal, but like Admiral Hackett, no one cares about that.
You know what? You know what would have been really great? And
yeah.
This probably wouldn't make any sense because, spoilers, this person's dead. Captain Anderson. I think Captain Anderson would have been really good too because...
Why did he have to die?
At least, his death was, his death was pretty, heart-wrenching, and he was a really great character. I think he went out in style, I think he did a good job. I think they were pretty good with that. Now, here's another thing. Well, they did put his name on the memorial plaque on the Normandy. But they kind of, they just put Shepard's name on there. They probably should have showed Captain Anderson and Shepard being put on there. That would have been a little cooler. But I think it would have been cool if they had Captain Anderson like talking, like, so what if he's dead? That doesn't matter, it's like, because it's Shepard's mentor pretty much, he was your bro for the longest time. He was like your first bro.
It was like a father figure to an extent.
Yeah, so that would have been pretty cool. But yeah, super awesome if they did like Garrus or your romance. That would have been cool. Which Garrus, I understand Garrus is your romance, so
yeah. No, yeah, totally. Here I'm saying actually that like Sylvester Folks, he said, I just didn't understand why did Sovereign need Saren to open the Citadel arms if the AI child was there in the entire game. That's exactly my point. Like Mass Effect 3 literally took what you made in the two games and just like literally threw it out. Like, okay, I saved Ashley. Let's say I saved Ashley. In Mass Effect 3, if I don't do things right, well, she'll die again. I put Anderson as member of the council. The council. And Mass Effect 3, it's Udina.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. So
it doesn't make that much sense. And I saw the other day, like, I think I was watching like a documentary on it, something like that. And Mass Effect 3 apparently, like, it's not as bad as Andromeda was, but it had a very similar kind of like a issue, like time issue, like trying to make that game. So there's a lot of things that ended up being cut out. Like, for example, dude, the From Ashes DLC that was supposed to be in the main game, and they ended up releasing it as a DLC. Like, it was a good attempt at a half-assed game, but they just ruined it at the end. Basically.
Yeah, and there were a lot of like great moments in Mass Effect 3. Like, from my experience overall with Mass Effect 3 was great. It's just the last 5% is what really dug its grave, unfortunately. And there are some people that don't understand. It's like, oh, you're focusing on the 5%. and not the 95% of it being good. I'm like, you're like, bro, this ending, it was to the entire trilogy. It fucking destroyed it. It threw everything you did out the fucking window. And people don't see it like that. They don't see how much they've been bamboozled or cheated or like gut punched. Like it's like, do you not realize that? I mean, for example, talk about another decision. Like, we'll actually get to the original storyline for Mass Effect 3 in a second here. Saving the Arachnite Queen, right? You see her, you save her in the first one. You see her in the third game. Okay, cool. That was great because that's what I did. You kill her in the first game, and then there's someone else in the third game as the Arachnite Queen. So it's like 95% of it's good. Like, there's some continuity issues there. And I had someone comment about that. It's like, yeah, why was the Arachnite Queen alive when you kill her in the first game? So yeah, there's plenty of stuff like that in Mass Effect 3 that didn't make sense. And but some of the other stuff made sense, you know. If you don't have Rex with you, because you could kill him in the first game, it's cool to see a different like Erdnot clan leader in the second game, and you see him in the third game. But I think he doesn't survive or something like that. Trying to remember, but you know, this is this is so much. It's like sensory overload. Nah. um, it's just crazy that it probably most likely EA had a lot to do with it because they definitely rushed them with Mass Effect 3. Mass Effect 3 and Dragon Age 2 were definitely a part of that development hell cycle, and if Mass Effect 3 didn't have the MacGuffin cliche, like, you know, this weapon to end all things, destroy the bad guy, you know, easy button route, the original story for Mass Effect 3 was going to be really, really cool. And I'm pretty sure we talked about that too. It had to do with all the dark energy, weird activities happening out the outside of the galaxy, you know, like or in the galaxy, why are stars just getting their life sucked out of them? That was never talked about in the third game. It was just hinted at in the second game. So, just imagine if they went that entire route with the original story of Mass Effect 3. Oh my god. You can read all about it, people. It's on the internet. You can look up the original story for Mass Effect 3, and it's pretty astounding on what the direction they were going with. Have you read it, Saint, at all?
Honestly, no. But like now I'm interested about it. Now I kind of want to read it too. Cuz yeah, it's that like I have heard that like they did have like, you know, development issues. And I think it shows in certain aspects. Like I think they pulled it off like good enough for you to say like, "Oh, this was totally planned." But there are certain things that you're like, I mean,
Yeah, like the whole Arachnite thing.
like yeah, Rachni thing. Like there's a bunch of decisions that you can tell that like yeah, what you said, it doesn't have continuity. Like you don't feel like you're going forward. You feel like a lot of your decisions that you know, made in the past
Yeah.
don't really matter. They're just putting kind of like the same thing they did with with the filter with the ending. Like they're putting a different filter on it, but they're not really changing anything significant.
No. It's just like an expansion of what you've already seen. It's like, well,
Or like
been there, done that.
or like Miranda, for example. I have a huge issue with Miranda. I love Miranda as a character.
Yeah, she's great.
She's a bitch in the in the first in Mass Effect 2.
Yeah.
But like then you kind of like get like kind of, you know, closer, and like it's a character that you're used to seeing during the entirety of a game,
Yeah.
right? And she was completely cast aside, like just completely. Like you could barely see her. You only have like that mission with her sister and the thing, but she's completely cast aside in Mass Effect 3, even though you spent the same amount of time with her in Mass Effect 2
Yeah.
as with the other characters in Mass Effect 1.
Yeah.
So it's
I agree.
you can kind of tell that they were kind of prioritizing here. Like they were saying like, okay, this is more popular, so let's go with this. We don't have time to put this, so let's leave this aside. Like they were kind of prioritizing, and I can tell it's a little rushed. And
Oh, for
I would have to
sure.
agree with what Sylvester said. Like, dude, it's like why make the child part of the game? Like there are so many things that don't make any sense. Like, oh, out of nowhere, now there's this huge Prothean device thing that we didn't discover when we were in the actual Prothean planet on Ilos. And oh, look, it just randomly appears in Mass Effect 3. How convenient.
Yeah.
Oh, now there's this big bad guy called Kai Lang, and oh, wow, he's a ninja Asian thing. Because I think he was
Yeah.
Asian. Like, it's. Like it adds so many things that like just don't make sense, or at least needed a little bit more prep time, like before putting them on Mass Effect 3.
Yeah.
I don't know. Put too
The
much things on.
No, you're right. There's a lot of things that were shoehorned in there at the last second, right? It's just a bunch of things compiled instead of fleshed out on a lot of things. I always take it like this: put quality over quantity. Okay, I get it that it's the last game in the series. There's so much stuff that they have to worry about that has to be transferred over. I can get that. Not many games do that. BioWare was probably like one of the only developers that really tried to make that a reality, like with Dragon Age and Mass Effect. And it's not easy, right? But they did it so good from Mass Effect 1 to 2, which is great, you know. For example, like you'll just help out, like doing normal side missions in Mass Effect 1, right? And then they added either a cameo appearance from the people you helped from the first game, they put them in the second game, and you have like a conversation with them, or you get an email from them. You know, I thought that was pretty cool. And then some people you helped from the first game, you do see in the third game. But like, it was executed so well in Mass Effect 2. I really appreciate that they did that. And like I said, they have that in 3. But you see, there's just way too much stuff going on, and you know, there's lack of direction with that. And then my good friend Dre just said like he hates how the Leviathan DLC, by the way, which is really cool, really badass, very
Yeah.
Lovecraftian, which is great, expanded on the Reaper lore, but there's still like an unanswered question of like why are they still just destroying everything when they know that, you know, they rebelled against their makers like the Geth did, but they're still killing things and it's never explained. And you have to
Yeah.
find all that out behind a paywall. And and it's like, come on. Like seriously? That's ridiculous. Now, that's why I'm glad that this Legendary Edition exists, so people can actually get a fair chance of understanding where we're coming from, and they actually get to enjoy the entirety of the trilogy without paywalls. Well, you know, DLC paywalls. What if they?
Yeah.
What? Okay, this would be fucked up. What if they added more DLC to this trilogy, this Legendary Edition? Like, hey,
That'd be bullshit. That'd be so much
Hey,
bullshit.
guys.
I'd be like, you know what? Fuck you in your game. Like,
yeah,
oh
Yeah.
my god.
that'd be
Yeah,
so
sorry.
ridiculous.
Sorry, I turned off the video for a sec. I had to like charge my Mac, and like the case wasn't
Yeah.
let me, connect it.
I don't know. I heard a cat screeching a little bit, and you like threw it or something. I don't know.
Oh yeah, it was the case. I threw it. Sorry.
Um,
But yeah, like, man, I don't know. Like there's so many things I wish they would change. That it's not gonna happen, but
right.
at least an extended cut, I think would be harder.
Extended epilogue. You need an epilogue.
Extended
for fucking
epilogue.
sure.
Yeah, an epilogue.
Okay.
I think that.
So everybody has an idea of where we're coming from with how we feel about Mass Effect 3's ending. Okay. Now,
Yes.
here's the other side of this video. Mass Effect Andromeda. Okay.
Christ.
Man, if you thought Mass Effect 3 was bad, or the ending, or whatever you feel about it, Mass Effect Andromeda was the bottom of the Mass Effect 3 barrel. Okay, Mass Effect 3... oh, God! Oh, God! It's like holding up a Bible to a fucking
That's
vampire.
so depressing. Look at this shit.
See,
This is
I
so
always...
sad.
I always liked the cover and like the concept art they had for Mass Effect Andromeda because I thought it was pretty cool what the direction they were going with. But man,
Yeah.
when you watch that first trailer or whatever trailer that just destroyed the internet, oh my god, people were just like, this is terrible. So let's okay, I guess this time I'll start with my experience with Mass Effect Andromeda. Okay.
Go for it.
So I had a plan. I had a plan to literally play this game through 4 times. Okay. Both on Mail Writer, right? Like good and bad, which doesn't matter in the game at all. And then good and bad on female writer, okay, which doesn't matter at all. And I had like I said, I had big plans and everything. So my first impressions of Mass Effect Andromeda, I was actually having a good time. Okay, I liked how it started. I liked the intro cutscene and stuff. It kind of gets you hyped up. It shows the Nexus, and then your big ass ship, and then 600 years later you wake up and stuff. I thought pretty much all the way until you get to the mini citadel, and you're trying to figure out what the hell happened here. Like, I always love derelict stuff like that in sci-fi where you don't know what happened. It's all freaky and spooky. Okay, I thought that was cool. But once you start to be able to just do your own thing and go out in the world or different worlds, that's when the game starts to fall flat on its face. I didn't like so that's when like things started to really just be kind of boring for me. I think the biggest issue I had with my experience was just the open world mechanics. And if you thought Mass Effect 1's open world mechanics were boring because it's just like, yay, all these planets are kind of the same. Don't get me wrong, like the planets look really cool in Mass Effect Andromeda. I thought that was neat, like the world building was cool. But it was still pretty barren, There's just like some things you can do here and there, but it's a lot of scanning. A lot of fucking scanning, like I'm Batman, for crying out loud. I get that you're discovering all this new stuff, but oh my lord, all the fucking scanning. So, like I said, as you go through, I just cared less and less about what was going on, and then it had the same cliche plot twist. It's like, oh, the Ket used to be this race, this species. Wow, that sounds familiar. Sounds like a plot twist in Mass Effect 2. Like, the Collectors used to be Protheans, which was cool. But then it's like, oh, the Ket, a villain that nobody really, I don't know, bleh. And then you figure out
no
that
one cares about, dude.
and you're just like, great. Oh, look, here's me making decisions that don't matter. It's like, because they all mean the same fucking thing. They have the same outcome. Because guess what? They took away Renegade and Paragon decisions. It's just all neutral. Or whatever. And guess what? You know how many times I was trying to be nice to, like, that Scottish chick who's gay in the game?
Suvi.
I loved her accent. I liked how she looked. I was male writer. I was trying to, lay the Mac, like, good old smooth talking. But then I pick a decision, and it shows me, like, hitting on her, like, all creepy-like. I'm like, whoa, I wasn't trying to go that hard in the paint, and it just creeps out the character. I'm like, what's up with that, So there's a lot of stuff like that I didn't appreciate, where the decisions are kind of, like, really extra when you're not trying to be, and they're not really self-explanatory. They're not clear, and they always have the same outcome. And you're like, what's the fucking point? It's like, who is this? The Archon? What's his beef? Like, who cares? He's like, I'm generic villain A. Cool, great.
I'm generic villain.
Oh, hey, look at this remnant tech. Where did it all come from? Oh, guess we'll never know. Yeah. Who's the mysterious benefactor? Oh, guess we'll never know.
Where's the Quarian Arc?
Yeah, it's supposed to be, alright, it's okay, guys. You just get it as a book, and then you'll get it as non-DLC or some shit like that. So, but that's like post thoughts. And then I didn't like my crew, really. The only crew members I really liked was Vetra, because I think a female Turian is pretty badass. She was pretty cool in the game. And then, God, I don't even remember the Krogan, the really old fucking Krogan. He was pretty cool too. But it's like, my only option, what is the only, like, straight option I can make as a straight writer? I think it was just Cora.
Yeah.
Or was it Vetra too? I think...
No, Vetra. I'm pretty sure Vetra was. Give me a sec. I'm gonna investigate.
So
this.
The only option I had was Cora, and it's like, okay, I guess Cora's kind of cool, but I'm not into her hairstyle because that's just not me. I like.
Yup, Vetra's bi.
Okay, bisexual. There's only one straight character, which is fine, whatever. But like Suvi, it's like, hey, how you doing? But there was too many, like, I don't know. There wasn't many straight people for Nico. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But anyway, and then you get to... Oh my god. how does the game even end? I don't remember how it ends. Isn't that sad? I don't
Um,
remember how it ends. Don't you just fly away and
you
right
go
next?
to like there was like this planet, like this kind of like ideal planet that you were supposed to go to.
Oh,
I think you
right.
go there and
Habitat
then like
six
you
or seven, whatever
choose
it's called.
something like that, and you choose between like one, like literally the same ending as Mass Effect 1. You choose between one leader or the other.
Yeah.
It's literally the same one.
Oh, right. Yeah, I remember that.
I think it
Um,
was like you have to choose between the dude. I hate that. I hated that Solarian. He was a dick. He looks like a pro. I hate Solarians, dude. They're so. That's just me ranting about
that.
Solarian.
Wait, hey, don't worry. My good friend Dre in the chat hates Morton Solus. He always kills him in Mass Effect 3.
Oh my
He
god.
shoots him in the fucking back. It's so sad though if you actually do that,
Oh my god. That's
but it's funny as hell though. So, um, yeah, there's just more unlikable characters in that game. Um, I don't know. It's been a while since I played, but that's got to mean something. If I haven't played Mass Effect Andromeda in a while, and I've played more of Mass Effect trilogy, you know, and it's been out since 2007. That means a lot to me. And remember how I had those goals in mind of playing it like 4 different times? Yeah, I only played it 1.5 times, and I never played it again. I was done. I just couldn't do it. It was just too much monotonous bullshit and the open world mechanics. The story was eh. Um, this is when the facial animations were like really
My
bad.
face is tired.
Yeah, my face is tired. Like it was just a jumbled mess. People were like, "Well, with the updates and like all this and that." Yeah, because the updates are gonna fix a mediocre storyline and people you don't give a fuck about. Yeah, that's gonna make sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Um,
totally. Yeah.
the voice acting was good in that game, though. I will give them that.
Yeah, I'd say the voice. Yeah, I'd say the voice acting was good. My problem was with what they did with that voice acting. Like, I believe there was a lot of talent, but they didn't give them the tools they needed to like really make that talent evident. PB
Oh,
was really well like voice acted, but her story, like her as a character, she's the most uninteresting. She's so shallow. No one gives a fuck about her.
oh
Like I
my
chose
God, I
her out of
forgot
like
about her. Jesus.
God. I hated PB. And the most interesting one, which was like the medbay doctor. I don't know, Doctor something. I
Doctor
don't remember.
Osari.
Doctor Asari. Yeah, she's Doctor Asari. She was the most. She's probably like easily like the most interesting female
Yeah,
character
yeah.
like in the game, and she's not romanceable
Oh
either.
yeah.
Gone.
That's
It's like,
why.
well, now I'm fucked.
You know what? BioWare knows how to blue balls me with Asari characters I want to romance. Like I always want to romance Samara, even though she's like 800 years old. I'm like, I don't know about that. You know what? I don't care. I'll
What about Arya?
Arya even. I mean, holy shit, hell yeah. She's a great
Yes.
fucking character. And you get to do and see this is what's great about Mass Effect 3. The Omega DLC was fantastic. You get to do entire DLC and she's on your team, which I thought was great. That shit was awesome.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Mass Effect Andromeda. There was, like I said, everything was going well for me from the beginning to when you get to the Nexus, whatever it's fucking called, the mini Citadel, pretty much. Um, I will admit there was some decisions that did matter because you do get like interviewed and you do talk to bystanders in that mini Citadel, and you get to see them later on and stuff, and they kind of like expand on their dialogue. I guess there's little mini storylines. I thought that was kind of neat, but you know it's all surface level. You know, it's not really the there's so much better they could have done. I always appreciate the banter between your squad mates, like on your ship and stuff. They always do a good job with that. But it's here's another thing was like was Ryder even a likable character? Like I don't even think they even hold a fucking candle or whatever you want to call it, anything to Shepard. Okay, like not even close. Now I get that Shepard is like, oh, I'm already N7. I'm already kind of a badass. You know, I'm this heroic guy already, and you kind of just choose their psychological history already. You know, it's kind of the work's already done for you. And then Andromeda, it's like, hey, I'm a little peon. I was Citadel security. Now I'm a Pathfinder, and my dad dies in like the first mission in the game. That was cool. Like what the fuck?
That's great.
Um, and that voice actor is so iconic too for Alec Ryder. Um, the another cool thing. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. Another cool thing that they did was depending on how you made female and male writer look, your dad kind of reflects on his face looks like a hybrid
Yeah.
or like a mix or something of how you
Yeah.
made your characters. And but don't even get me started on the character customization in that game. It was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. All my characters looked awful that I tried to make from scratch. I was like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm just gonna go with default. Um, and I thought it was bad for me in the original trilogy because every time I make a character in the original trilogy, there was always like something off about them. I'm like, all right, just gonna go with default this and that. But I had better. I just felt like I had more options. There was, I guess, it was more detailed or something. I don't know. It just looked cooler in the original trilogy when you're customizing your character compared to Andromeda. It was just very bland.
Yeah, that's true. Like, man, there's so many things on my side. That,
All right,
like,
let's hear
I
it.
don't know.
I'm done.
I'm done.
Oh, real quick, Dre says
Yeah.
the bullet in Morden Solis' back is tired. That's so funny.
Oh my god.
The default
man.
male writer looked awful. He looked like an indie game developer. That's fucking funny.
I honestly, I don't think the default male writer was bad. I thought the default female writer was bad. And like they're supposed to be siblings. They don't even look like remotely alike. Like
Oh, true.
they're supposed to be like, okay, biological siblings, right? They're not supposed to be like adopted siblings. That's another topic. But
Yeah.
like they don't even look alike. Like Sarah looks super ugly. Like she is a fugly character. Okay? And
Her
like when you
face
try to
looks pretty
customize
tired
it,
too.
yeah, her face looks pretty tired too. And like she doesn't even look remotely like male writer. Like male writer looks like, I think he looks he looks like a good looking dude, like in comparison to his ugly ass sister. Like yeah, sure.
Yeah,
But like
that's awesome
you could
though.
you could like barely tell that they're like biologically like similar, which I think it kind of like destroys a little bit the
You,
kind
you
of
know
like
what's
the
you know what,
immersion.
yeah, you know what's funny? It's like it's like watching like a TV show when they have siblings and they look nothing alike. It's like that in Andromeda. Like an example is like Supernatural. Like Sam and Dean don't look anything alike, but
Yeah.
they're brothers.
They're just like white.
yeah, they're
They're
just
just white.
just a couple
That's
white
it.
guys, but they're brothers. But so it's like that in Andromeda where the siblings don't look anything alike. Which is weird. See,
Yeah.
see, people.
Yeah, and there's so many things I disliked about that game. Like, and the ironic part is that I don't think the game was terrible. I just think it was mediocre. Like, I think there are games that are a lot worse.
Oh,
that get
for
a
sure.
lot less shit for it than what Andromeda got. But
Have you
like in terms of what?
real quick? Have you played the fucking campaign for Star Wars Battlefront 2? Um,
I don't like. I'm not a Star Wars fan, so like when I saw it was, yeah, I'm gonna leave it there.
that you know what? After seeing all the stuff about that game, like you're in the right place. That story was just absolutely terrible, and like I'd rather be playing Andromeda than that story. And the campaign was only
Like-
4 hours long too. Good times.
Exactly. Like there's a lot worse games out there than something like Mass Effect. But well, Andromeda. But dude, there was so many things wrong with that game. I mean, I completely agree with you with the fact that I did not give a flying fuck about like the vast majority of the characters on my team. Like,
Yeah.
dude, I didn't care about Korra. I barely cared about PB. I just cared about PB because Asari and it's the go-to plan. Let's go for the Asari. But
Yeah, you
like
can bang her, too.
Suvi, exactly. Suvi, like it was kind of like like even though she was an interesting character, the romantic option was super uninteresting. This other dude was nice, but he was gay, so like that kind of didn't apply to me.
Oh right. He was like the engineer guy.
Vetra, yeah, Vetra, like okay, like I like Turians, but like not to get my character to sleep with them. Like they look like reptiles, so I kind of like no.
Yeah.
But
Unless it's Garrus.
Yeah,
He's
like-
like the only exception I'd ever bang a
yeah,
Turian.
yeah, because like it's Garrus. It's Garrus. We'd all bang Garrus,
Yeah, I'll let him calibrate on me any day.
but like it's precisely that, and I don't necessarily think that the straight options were that much of an issue because if you look at something like Dragon Age Inquisition,
Yeah.
Like they didn't have a lot of completely straight options either. Like
Yeah.
it was just Cassandra. She was the only one,
I
and no one had an issue with those
right.
romances.
You know what? I think my main issue was, I'm just gonna rebuttal, is that my only straight option was Cora, and she's pretty ugly.
She's pretty.
I think that's why I was so
That's
upset.
my issue. Like even though like it probably sounds cruel to some people, people are gonna be like, "Oh my god, why are you like ugly shaming someone?" Whatever. Like it's a hard truth. Okay, when we play a game, we don't want to be with the ugly duck. Okay, we want to be with the pretty people, with
Yeah,
the
it's called
attractive. Like,
standards.
it's called
People have
it's
standards.
called leaving the bar decent. Okay, it's having a
Yeah.
decent bar. No,
Yeah.
but like you don't play a game like that for hours to end up with ugly Betty. Like you don't do
No,
that. Like
no.
you play it to have the attractive people, and all these people on top of the fact that their face was in general like robotic when they spoke because of the animations.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
They were so uninteresting. Cora like always acted like she had a stick up her ass.
Which-
Sylvie was a little too passive. PB was uninteresting. I think Vetra was probably the only interesting one, and the
And-
old Krogan, because he was fucking awesome. I wouldn't want to romance him, but he was like the gariest bro.
Yeah,
of
he
Andromeda.
was great. I think his name was Drax or Drac or something.
Yeah, it's Drac. It's Drac. Yeah.
So
And what?
and then see, we're forgetting the worst fucking Mass Effect companion of all time, Liam.
Liam. The only interesting thing about that guy is that he was British. That was probably. I think he made him British just to like kind of like make a point, like, oh look, we have a British guy. Here's some variety.
I knew when he waves at you in the beginning of Andromeda, I knew he's gonna be trouble. He's like, let's buy a couch, Ryder. Let's his companion, his loyalty mission was fun though. That was because it was showing some humor on the Mass Effect humor
Yeah.
side of things. It was pretty cool. But that was about it. I didn't really give a fuck about him. I never wanted to use him. He was just
Even
so
yeah.
bland, so fucking bland.
and like there's this guy like
was-
yeah, I think he was a variety pick.
He was like my
honestly.
kite. He was like my Caden Alenko.
He was my Caden. Like worst part is like now that I look at like Mass Effect 3 and I look at Caden is a much more interesting character than Ashley. I think I just chose Ashley because it was Ashley.
Well,
But,
in
like,
the
Caden
beginning,
as a character
yeah, exactly.
later becomes more interesting. In the beginning, yeah, he was just he was another guy that like he had to stick up his ass and it was kind of annoying. He was like, you know what, die. But
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
like man, like there's in the Angara like
Yeah, you had
I-
the
like-
Angaran guy. You can have
the
your way
Angaran
with.
guy, I don't remember Jal.
Yeah.
I think was her name. Yeah, like he's not terrible, but like I definitely don't feel any sort of way towards him. I think it's just interesting because it's new. Like
Yeah,
new
he's
species
he's
of the
every
whole thing.
he's every like hentai fan's wet dream.
yeah, I honestly
he's
yes.
a tentacle guy. Okay.
Yeah, he's a tentacle guy. What an ass.
Okay, so overall feel about Andromeda, just just kind of meh.
I'd say it's a big meh.
It was
'Cause,
it was a
like-
big mad disappointment because it definitely wasn't worth the wait at all.
And besides, they're so insistent on using frostbite. Frostbite, like okay, Inquisition did it right, but
Yeah.
dude, frostbite it's not made for RPGs, dude. It's just not.
It's made
Like
for
make
shooters.
another one. It's made for shooters, dude. And look at the fact, Andromeda was a great shooter. Like it was
Yeah.
awesome to shoot in
Yeah.
Andromeda, but the rest of the game was fucked.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my
So-
god. Same
Uh,
thing with Anthem. Anthem was a shooter, but that was just bad
Yeah, it was-
because it's just bad, you know.
It's just bad. I think they should probably get together like people that make Inquisition, because I think even though some people have their issues with Inquisition, I think it was as an RPG a really good one.
Hey,
Like story wise.
yeah, here's the thing. Inquisition got Game of the Year. You know what game didn't? Andromeda. Whoa!
I have the game of the year.
Yeah, the Inquisition is a lot of fun. Although you know they could have made it a lot smaller. The open world stuff is like running around. Yeah, that's Inquisition's storyline is so fucking great. Oh my gosh.
The characters, dude, you care about every single one in a different way. Like
yeah.
that's
Yeah,
it. Like
exactly.
dude, you didn't get that on Andromeda. I didn't give a crap about any of those characters.
Yeah.
God.
So-
like you died. Oops.
Yeah, pretty much. Oh wait, I wasn't trying to hit on the Phoebe or PB. Oh
Male
fuck.
writer just being a fucking creep to the lesbian
Yeah,
Suvi.
I
Nice
felt
one.
I felt really awkward. I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" He's like,
All those options. Yeah. They were
um,
like, oh, want to be creepy or want to be super creepy? Like, those were the options in Andromeda.
yeah. So, let's. So now that we have our impressions of what we thought about it, now, man, we've been going for like an hour, and we haven't even discussed the main event yet.
Christ.
Okay, so we'll see how this goes. No rush, right? Um,
No.
Now we go to the main point. Now we have the foundation of how we feel about it all. Um, we're pretty much in the same boat. You know, we weren't satisfied with Mass Effect 3's ending, and we weren't satisfied with Andromeda as a whole. Now we talk about what was worse, what was more polarizing for us, and then for the Mass Effect community as a whole. Um, so this is gonna be interesting. Okay, so I guess I'm gonna go just short answer. I'm gonna go that Andromeda was more polarizing than Mass Effect 3's ending. It was worse
Okay.
as like as in terms of like a cataclysmic event for the Mass Effect
Yeah.
community and gaming community, all the
Yeah.
way Mass Effect Andromeda.
I'd say, honestly, like, I think it was worse. Like, I think the Mass Effect 3 ending was more polarizing.
Oh, okay. So now, wow, dang. Okay, this is gonna be fun. Okay, so let's just say this: Mass Effect Andromeda was so polarizing that they canceled all the DLC and they put Mass Effect on ice. Boom.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
But Dre just made something really good too. This isn't an easy discussion, and by all means, this is. I mean, they're both shit. Okay, they're both shit. So it's like comparing smelly shit to smelly shit. What do you? It's like it's almost impossible. But Dre just made a good point, saying like the ending was so bad for Bioware that they ran away to another galaxy. And
Like that's
that's
yeah,
so true.
that's kind of like my point, because I think that, like, even though, like, we knew that Andromeda was going to be something different, and that we knew that it wasn't going to be Mass Effect the one we knew,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
I
yeah.
think like they did took both of them took a shit on us, basically. But like when we talk about like fan kind of like commitment, I feel that people were a lot more committed to Mass Effect 3's ending and a lot more committed to the original trilogy than they were to Andromeda,
You know,
because they knew that it had
yeah,
nothing to do with the original.
yeah. And here's another thing. Um,
Fuck.
People didn't know what to expect with Mass Effect 3, right? They thought it was like the launch trailer for Mass Effect 3 was fucking epic and awesome. Nobody knew the ending was going to be shite. Nobody. Unless you played it or waited and saw it on the internet. But Mass Effect Andromeda, people knew that game was going to be trouble by the trailers that they showed and uh, leaked footage, betas, and all this crap, whatever that they released. We knew ahead of time that the game as a whole wasn't going to be what it's cracked out to be. Like people were just shitting on it so hard when it was coming to release and stuff. You know, so we had at least a heads up, and plus, um, you know what? I think I might switch sides. I think Mass Effect 3's ending was a lot more polarizing because people had their guard up so much when Andromeda was coming out, especially when they were showing gameplay footage or just whatever trailer that really just set the internet on fire in the Mass Effect community. That you know it was expected, unfortunately. With Mass Effect 3, there was so much build up to this game because it was the final game in the trilogy. Everybody was so fucking stoked to play this game. It's, you know, obviously if you're a Mass Effect fan, and then you just get you get like your blue balls so hard at the end, and then they get cut off. Your balls get chopped off, and you're just like, what a waste of time.
Yeah, no, totally. I honestly, yeah, I have to agree with that, because like that's the thing. Like, for example, yes, Andromeda sucked, and yes, there are people that, like, as your friend said, like I just saw in the stream that he said that um that what like that a lot more people defend Mass Effect 3's ending than Andromeda's. But the thing is that, like,
But they defend it in the wrong way, though. They defend it
Yeah,
like saying it was good and they don't understand or we need to get over it. I'm like, yeah, I understand. I even said that, yeah, we should get over it as best we can and, let the past be the past. But it's really hard when Mass Effect is. You're going to have to deal with Mass Effect 3 in a few months from now. So it kind of just, it's the vicious
kind of hard to
cycle.
like leave it. Yeah, it's kind of hard to leave it behind when you're gonna get a month.
Yeah.
So, like Andromeda was bad. Andromeda was shitty. It did not have an interesting story. Blah blah blah. Yes, but I think more people like you can't tell me that someone is going to be equally as committed to a new entry that it has nothing to do with the original one than to two entire games and the final entry of that trilogy. Like this is almost like a new IP. Almost.
Yeah.
Like it's Mass Effect, yes, it's in the universe, but like it's something that no one knows about, no one cares about, no one has built like a sort of loyalty or relationship with the characters, anything like that. So people objectively are going to be mad, but they won't feel it, like they won't feel as affected by it as with Mass Effect 3 because I played I you saw my deluxe edition, that's sad as hell.
Yeah.
And I'm like, even though like I'm like, yeah, it was a shitty game, I definitely strongly about it as I would feel for something like the Mass Effect 3 ending where they made me
Mm-hmm.
spend hours and hours of my life
Yeah.
for a Instagram filter ending. So I'd say it's more. I'd say the Mass Effect 3 ending is more polarizing for.
Well, yeah, here's the thing. You start from 2007 if you're like me, and then you get to 2012, all that wait of, letting all the games come out, and then it's just like, it all builds up to this final epic installment. And for the most part, it was pretty epic. There was a lot of great stuff about it. There was some great set pieces in Mass Effect 3. It was a lot of great moments.
The
Uh,
music, Jesus.
yeah, the
It's
music is
amazing.
amazing in that fucking game. Like the Leaving Earth music, and you see the
Mhm.
ships getting destroyed by the Reapers. That's fucking heartfelt. That is heart wrenching. And even me just talking about it, I'm like, man, that is some fucking dark shit right there. And then, like the Reapers just fuck shit up from the get go in the game. It just doesn't pull any punches, which I thought was a great way to introduce them. Um, and then it's like when you get to Andromeda, it's like you're cool. I guess I'm doing this now. Like you don't really feel that same impact, not even close. I get it. Andromeda is the start of its own series and stuff, but hear me out. When I was playing Mass Effect 1, there were some pretty fucking heartfelt moments in that game too. Like shit.
Yeah.
Like when Shepard rises from the ashes and goes on the like Pride Rock monument, like Reaper monument, and he survives and stuff and plays the epic theme. I was like, oh my god, it was like
Yeah.
fangirling so hard. Yeah, there was no moments like that in Andromeda, but Mass Effect 3, you just felt cheated. You felt like you've been betrayed, and nothing hurts more than being betrayed. And like it's one thing to stick a knife in someone's back, right? But it's also it's another thing to stick a knife in someone's back and then you twist it. That's fucked up.
Yeah.
And I feel like Bioware really shit the bed with that one. And nobody knew. Nobody fucking knew this was gonna happen. Now, even as I'm older, I can tolerate the extended cut ending and stuff. I can go back and play it for what it is, right? I can go back and do that. I don't want to play Andromeda at all. you know,
Yeah.
It sounds like I'm going back to the Andromeda side. That was more polar. No, but because like I said, Mass Effect 3, the majority of it is a pretty solid game. There's just continuity issues, and then the ending was just the nail in the coffin for sure. It's just sad, man.
It's honestly like it's as simple as like if you put a picture of the next Andromeda here and you put a picture of the next trilogy game here, like with Liara, like literally the Mass Effect Legendary Edition, right? If you put that side to side, dude, Andromeda is gonna go fuck itself. Like no one cares about it. Like people are just gonna be more excited. Like people are more excited, I believe, for the Legendary Edition than for, even though they know the ending sucks.
Yeah.
I have to say Mass Effect. I say Mass Effect 3 is the worst hit to the community. And obviously regarding gameplay wise and actual game, yeah, Andromeda fucking takes the cake.
I think, yeah.
Fuck.
It was the if people thought Dragon Age 2 was bad, at least Dragon Age
Oof.
2. You know what? Dragon Age 2 at least like I did have an enjoyable time, despite its linearity and it was
I
nowhere even
liked it.
it was
Like
nowhere
I never
even
played Dragon Age 1 and I liked it.
yeah, the thing is that if you play 1 and then you go to 2, you're like,
Yeah,
"Uh-oh."
I kind of realized it after it. Like I
But
played 1 after.
but you see that's just how the cycle went for you. That's fine. Um,
Mm.
I know why people didn't like 2, but see, I played 2 and I enjoyed for what they were trying to show, although it was definitely way more linear with your decision making and stuff, that's for
Oh,
sure.
yeah.
Um, Definitely a lot more railroaded for sure. There wasn't no like A B C D E answers. It was just A or B,
Yeah.
pretty much. But going back to what was more polarizing, I think the majority of people are gonna say Mass Effect 3 deep down. Um, I don't like Andromeda. I played it. That was it. You know, if an Andromeda 2, I don't have a big a fear as I do with the Mass Effect 3 ending, especially with the Legendary Edition coming out. Um, but I do expect them not to do anything. Like it could Legendary Edition could be easily just a re-release with just better graphics or something, or just things are just I don't know. It could be a cheap HD remaster, and the ending will still be there, and people would just cry. Like, why you didn't put me through this? Like, is this gonna set the world aflame again? Engulf
Yeah.
it.
Like I think who the hell is calling me? Give me a sec. Don't call me. Okay, sorry. I
Don't ever
think
get her number, folks. She won't answer. I'm just kidding.
uh, I think for example that complaint that you had about like straight characters in Andromeda, I think the inverse is true in Mass Effect 2. Dude, Mass Effect 2 had no non-straight characters. All of them were straight. No non-straight characters whatsoever. I think
Jack.
Jack, but Jack,
Jack.
I could romance Jack as a femme shepherd.
Really? I could have swore you could.
None of them were, dude. And I like that's the thing. Like I think maybe small changes like those would really like help modernize the game because like I get that back in the day it would be like, oh my god, she's gay. Oh Christ.
I'm all about
Yeah,
lesbians.
I'm all about, you and probably like 95% of the male population are all about lesbians. But I'm thirsty. Yeah, but like I think like something like I don't know, maybe Jack is hot. It's debate. Nah,
She's
I
hot
don't
in the
know.
third game. I love her style in the third game. I'm all about that
Yeah,
ponytail thing.
I'm more of a Miranda fan myself. I think Miranda's hotter because
Um,
I don't know. I just like her better. But I
yeah.
think Miranda should have been bi. Besides, they already had like part of that already done. Like there is a romance option for female shepherd like recorded and everything inside the game file. They just removed it like in the end,
Yeah.
which is kind of like, well, that kind of sucks for people that are not straight and don't want to romance Jacob. Like
I don't think anybody wanted to romance
nobody
Jacob.
wants to romance that
He
dude.
was
Man,
he was just
no one.
he was just a token black guy like Liam was, and it's just like they didn't
Oh,
even
you had to
try.
like bang the secretary, which was like Yeoman Chamber or something like that. You had to bang the
Yeah.
that was your only option. So that kind of sucked. I think small changes like that could be nice
Yeah.
to modernize it a little bit.
So yeah, that makes sense. Um, so our final answer. Yeah, I'm just going back to our little discussion. It's like, oh god, it just hurts every time. Just you can't help but deep sigh every time the topic comes up.
Oh my
So,
god, yeah.
God, like I said, it's like I want to say. How about this? How about this? Would this be fair? I want to say both games were equally polarizing, like in their own way, right? But I feel like they both, the ending for 3 and then Mass Effect Andromeda both killed Mass Effect for a very long time. The three's ending was the cause, and then the effect was Andromeda. They were both like Bonnie and Clyde type deal.
Yeah.
Because when I'm talking about it, like I can't help but switch sides. I'm like, oh, but Andromeda had this that I didn't like, and that was terrible. Where it's like Mass Effect 3's ending was all about this and that. So it's really like it's like a balanced scale.
I'd say it depends on what specifically you find polarizing. Like I think it's like it depends what category of
Right.
polarizing are we talking about, because I'd say yes, there were both polarizing in their own way, but I believe Mass Effect was polarizing as in a general series, general Mass Effect way that you would say like, wow, they really just
Yeah.
fucked us up the ass.
I can't.
And
Yeah, yeah.
Andromeda was just like, dude, they literally just made a shitty game and put Mass Effect on it, which is insulting in its own way.
Right. You know what? That's a good point. Andromeda was just a shitty game, and then um, it's like you knew what, like I as I mentioned before, you just knew what you're kind of getting into already. So you had an idea that it was going to be a meh kind of game, right? And you just got to be
Hmm.
cautiously optimistic.
Yeah,
Mass Effect 3, you just had no fucking idea
that was gonna end that way.
it was going to end that way. And that's like I said, that to me is betrayal. Like the knife in the back and twisted by the stupid Star Child. You just had no fucking clue. The
I
Star
think
Child is like it's
what
like the prime, like I think the Star Child itself was cool if they executed it poorly, because or better, because I thought it was kind of neat to hear, like the music was really cool, the setup was awesome, like going up the lift and everything, and just like, oh, the Star Child's diamond, what the fuck. It was just executed poorly, because obviously you can make anything work in a game as long as you're smart about it. um, with that said, they God, that kid is literally the allegory of literally an allegory or just a staple of what not to do. The embodiment of what not to do for an ending to a trilogy like that. You just
yeah.
imagine. Do you like Lord of the Rings at all?
I've seen the movies,
Okay,
honestly, and they're good, but like not a
so
big fan.
okay, I'm gonna do this for my sake. I can't imagine if I enjoyed all of the Lord of the Rings films because they're like my favorite movies of all time. I can't imagine if it all works, all the movies are great, and then you get to the ending of the third movie and it's just dog shit, and you're just like, oh man, this really
Oops.
this really sucks. It's because
Yeah.
you get so involved and in touch with these games, and like people don't understand, like gamers that had never played Mass Effect or just didn't like it, they still have you gotta see like where we're coming from. Like this trilogy really affected a lot of people. Like it touched people in a good way, wink wink, and just and
Fucking waking off to a Liara like
yeah,
like
see,
oh
or Miranda's assless chaps mod or something
yeah.
like that. It's funny as fuck. So and there's so many like tear jerking moments. See what I did there? So many tear jerking moments in Mass Effect trilogy, and then it's just all thrown into the fucking gutter in the end. The gutter
Yeah.
of waste, just waste of time, pretty much. I think that's what people really were mad about. It wasn't the fact. It wasn't only the fact that people were upset on how it ended in terms of story progression and stuff. I think they were just mad because it was a waste of time. I think that's
Yeah, definitely. I'd say Mass Effect 3, the ending at least, it touched you in an emotional way, like as in you feeling bad about it. Andromeda just plain out disrespected the player, just like straight out disrespected them. So it's a different kind of polarizing, I'd say.
yeah.
It's a little different because I honestly didn't feel betrayed with Andromeda. I felt ripped off, but definitely not betrayed.
Yeah, there's a difference. Like we were sold a shitty game. We were told that this game was going to be great, but we were haggled or we were
Mhm.
swindled.
Bamboozled and
Yeah.
quite possibly bamboozled.
Yeah, bamboozled and swindled, It was like, "Hey, play our game. It's going to be great." I mean, or it's like, "Hey, want to play a game of pool?" I've never played. And then the guy who's never played plays and he fucking destroys you, like, "Oh my god, what the
Yeah.
fuck?" I've been lied to.
Yeah,
Um, and
basically.
it's the worst thing possible with Mass Effect 3 because Bioware didn't even expect that outcome, that outcry or outroar from the populace. Like
And they don't talk about it.
they
You don't
don't talk
they just
about it.
they just left it as it was. I'm like, you bitch. Like you're seeing that people are mad about it. Talk about it. It's not at least Bethesda had like the balls to be like, yeah, Fallout 75, 75, 76 kind of sucked.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah, like Todd Howard. Well, I don't like Todd Howard at all because he's
But he at least talked
Yeah,
about
he at
it.
least
Like
makes
at
fun of
least.
it and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's aware that people did not like it at all. And I'm sure when he was doing his speeches and stuff, he's like, "Oh boy, this is gonna be bad," because he's basically like the poster boy or the speaker, pretty much, when
Yeah.
it comes to that stuff. So yeah, like I remember hearing the interviews about Casey Hudson just not understanding why people just were so upset and just like, okay, we're gonna do this extended cut. Like they were on the fence about it, you know. But power of the people, they put in some effort. Whether you think it was good enough or not, it's better than nothing, I guess. Um,
Yeah, they probably did that just like to calm down like the people rather than because they understood what actually bothered them. Just kind of like to get it over with. I probably think they did the extended cut. Just like, okay, all these people are bitching about this. Let's just release something and we're done with them. And that's it.
yeah, yeah, and you know what? With the ending for Mass Effect 3, it's all about this like people bringing up the Jesus story and stuff. I'm like, okay, well, you know, Jesus got like a really cool epilogue because he came back, right? And he actually had an entire, thing about that where it lasts longer than a that goes to credits,
Oh my god, yeah.
Like it's like Shepard had the bad ending Jesus story where Jesus comes back, or like if Jesus just did the thing in his coffin, and it ended right there, it'd be like, oh, okay, what's the point of that, But no, he came back for a while and it started talking to all the apostles and stuff. Not to get all religious and stuff, but that was a proper Jesus story ending of fucking course. But Shepard didn't have a proper Jesus ending story at all. Uh, yeah, there was no epilogue. Oh, I just solved my own problem. It'd be cool if the Legendary Edition had an epilogue. Okay, so before we wrap things up, so I think the Mass Effect 3's ending is more polarizing than Andromeda, although I think they're really close to one another in the polarizing department, or the shit fest, the shit storm. But
Yeah.
like you said, Andromeda was just a bad product. That you just, you're like, okay, this is I guess. But 3 was a knife in the back that was turned into a twisted knife stab in the back. Whew. Terrible.
Christ. Sorry.
So any final things you wanted to say before we end the good old stream?
No, other than just, man, I really hope they fix something in that. Like the thing is that again, this all eventually will come back to the Legendary Edition. Like,
Oh yeah, I tell people
man,
that we're gonna ride this fucking Legendary Edition train all the way till released, and then so on and so forth, because
like, yeah,
Mass Effect is gonna be talked about pretty much every day for a long, long time. Um, so, gosh, just imagine being Casey Hudson and sitting at the table discussing the Legendary Edition. Be like, okay,
like,
guys,
what's wrong?
do we do something with this ending? Like, what's going on? Like, imagine just, oof. Imagine the death threats they're gonna come at them if they didn't do anything to kind of remedy the 3's ending situation. Oh boy.
Oh, it's what your pal literally said. Like, Legendary Edition is just going to be shoot on a turd. Yeah, like you can polish a turd, but it's still a piece of shit. So unless unless you do something about that, honestly, I think this Legendary Edition is gonna reopen.
Yeah.
And no one's gonna want that. So I don't know. Let's hope they do something about that because it's bullshit.
Yeah, and if you want to hear all about that and how you feel about Legendary Edition, Mass Effect 4, and the future of Mass Effect, or Mass Effect just 101, you can check out our first collab together. It was the latest Nico Show episode, and that was a ton of fun. And that was a great discussion. That was a lot of fun. This one was a great discussion. So we'll wrap it up. Saintwolvinn, where can everybody find you? What are your outlets here?
You guys can find me on YouTube. You guys can find me on Twitch. You guys Twitter. You guys Instagram. Basically everywhere except Facebook because no one uses that shit anymore.
Yeah.
And it's all the same name. It's all Saintwolvinn. I like keeping it simple, so just go ahead and give me a follow there if you like gaming news and shit like that.
Yeah, I check her out too. Well, I'm kind of checking her out right now on the webcam, but I mean her channel.
Christ.
Was that good creepy writer?
That was a male writer like moment. Like
I was watching you and I like your hair and Yeah, you know what's
Got it.
funny? Every time you talk to Suvi and Andromeda, you're always behind her too, and you're like, well, guess I'm fucked already.
She's like, hi, Phoebe. I'm like, oh.
Yeah. So you'll see the links to her YouTube channel and stuff down below whenever this video gets published properly. And then Saint, is always a pleasure to have you, of course, and thanks for discussing this. I think this was fun to do. And there's gonna be more. There's always gonna be more discussions about Mass Effect because there's so many things you can discuss with this franchise. See, in conclusion, we all want the same. We all want the same good feels with Mass Effect. We all want it to survive and not go through the shit storm that it did before in 2012 and 2017. We don't want that. We want Mass Effect to stay alive and at least get majority of a good ending in terms of just BioWare making these games. We just want it to succeed, and we want to relive those moments, and we're going to be able to do that not too far from now.
Woo!
And then, there's going to be plenty of wet t-shirt contests on my Mass Effect stream, so we'll get to see that for sure. Oh, wait, that was supposed to be like after hour talk. Uh-oh. This isn't Pornhub? Oh, shit, this whole time. No one knew about the wet t-shirt. The wet rider.
I'm getting some male writer. I'm getting some male writer vibes from you right now.
Yeah, it's like, oh, is anybody named Thuvi in the chat?
Oh.
Anybody named Thuvi or Cora in the chat? If your name's Cora, please leave. All right, so that was fun. Thanks again, Saint, and everybody else. Have a good night. I'm actually going to be streaming a game here pretty soon on Twitch, but not YouTube because I'm going to get YouTube a break. But thanks again, Saint. Appreciate you being here.
Same to you. See you guys.
Bye.